Let it come from the place of overflowing. Let it come from the place of your love. Let it come from the place of your thinking. Let it come.
Have you ever experienced this dilemma? What dilemma, you might be thinking? Well, the dilemma of straddling two very different worlds or realities. Okay, let me explain. See, those of us who are trying to remain conscious and awake as we travel this time-space matrix, this three-dimensional reality that we perceive with our senses and our conditioned mind or ego, we would have also experienced another reality, the invisible, no time, no space, because there are no things for there to be space around or between. This all-pervading, here, now, non-local, boundless state of consciousness that is our true nature. This is the end, the last post. There's nothing beyond it. Now, I'm going to assume that you've had glimpses of this invisible reality, or this hidden wholeness, as Thomas Merton described it. One that you might describe as blissful or whole, complete, boundless, timeless, so peaceful, sublime, so free, even joyous or rapturous, where you might have lost all sense of time, all sense of a personal body-mind that's been shaped by history, by your beliefs, by your ideas, your experiences, your memory, and so on. And you might have had this experience of this other reality, which is your true nature, perhaps during meditation, or in the midst of some extraordinary event like a concert or a particularly moving piece of music, or in the presence of unexpected beauty like a sunset, or at the birth of a child, or at a work of art. Do you know what I'm talking about? And so the dilemma for us is, well, how do we straddle both these worlds, the physical and visible, and the non-physical and invisible? How do we reconcile them? Or, as some people like to think of it, integrate them? Because you see, the physical, perceivable world is where our consciousness is mostly held, you know? This is where we perceive things with our senses and interpret them with our conditioned mind and react to them as a result of our learning, whether that learning has been conscious and intentional or unconscious. You know what I mean? And here, in this time-space reality, is where we experience all kinds of conflicts, internal and external. Here is where we try to find meaning and live meaningful lives. Here is where we experience pain and suffering, fear, loss, death, birth, pleasure, satisfaction, significance, or unworthiness, all those dualities and the dramas that unfold from them. Here is where we judge and are judged. I think you can relate to this, right? Meanwhile, in that other reality, that non-physical, invisible, timeless reality, which is your true and ultimate nature, none of these things have any meaning. Everything collapses or dissolves into one truth, which is love, which is life, which is you. And some of us have experienced this and know without any doubt that it is real. But the problem for us, the dilemma we face is, how can I live in the physical world having experienced this non-physical reality? How can I continue to think and behave, to speak and make decisions in this physical world that don't really align with what I know to be true, to be real, to be eternal, that seem in fact to contradict it? Does it mean that I should no longer set boundaries? Does it mean that I should no longer set goals? Does it mean that I should trust everyone? Does it mean that I needn't do anything because I am by nature whole and complete, fulfilled, wanting or needing nothing? I mean, I still have to breathe, don't I? And eat and have a safe place to live and communicate with people and live by the laws and rules of society, don't I? Can you relate to anything that I'm saying here? So, if you do, let's talk about this, shall we? And then, when we're done, I'll take you through a short meditation on allowing, because as you'll see, allowing is our natural state. You know, remember the little baby? The baby is in a state of allowing. And it is by allowing that we can best handle this so-called dilemma of straddling two worlds or two realities. Yes, I know, it does sound rather dangerous, doesn't it? Allowing. I mean, we allow everything? It does sound dangerous, but I assure you, nothing could be more safe. Okay, so this dilemma that we have been talking about, let me say straight up, it is a conundrum that the ego, our conditioned mind, our mind of history, our mind of body, etc., the ego has masterfully set up to keep us distracted and doubtful. It wants you to see that these two worlds are mutually exclusive, that they exist independently of each other. The truth is, they don't. You see, all the perceived events of the physical world arise and eventually fall away, rather like each breath that we take, or like clouds drifting across the sky. All of these perceived events of the physical world arise and eventually fall away within the infinite field of love, of life, of truth, of you. There is no other reality in which they happen. And this is the new state of awareness that we will realize the more we really pay attention and look into the true nature of all things. And just so we're clear, what are these perceived events of the physical world that arise and sooner or later fall away? Well, everything, including your breath, your body, conversations that you have, day, shifting into night, night returning to day, water boiling on a stove, relationships and all the phases that the mind perceives they have within those relationships. Do you get what I mean? Everything in this physical world operates within the principle of rising and falling away, or the principle of impermanence. And where does all of this happen? As I just said, within the infinite field of love, of life, of truth, of you. The infinite field that is who and what you truly are. There is no other reality in which this happens. This, as I said, is the new state of awareness that we will realize the more we really pay attention and look into the true nature of all things, so that instead of being anchored in impermanence, we can be anchored in what is eternally true and what is you, your true nature. Now, if you get this, or you kind of, can sort of, at least in part, accept this, and you might have to listen to this podcast more than once, you'll more likely see that the more useful question we could be asking is not, how do we live in these two worlds or this duality, but how do we live according to truth, to the truth of who we are? In other words, how do we live lovingly? That's really the only question you need to be concerned with. In any given moment, in any and every situation, we can learn to ask, how can I be loving? Which in different words could be expressed as, how can I be truthful, full of truth right now? Now, when I use the word truthful, I don't mean it in a conventional sense in which truth is a function of our perception, our beliefs, and our experience. No, I mean it in an objective way, so that what is true can only be known in the present moment and in the state of presence. And by that I mean, it is not subject to either history or projections into the future. If I were to put it differently, it would be to be present, to be love, and to respond as love. There's a book called A Course in Miracles, and it's a book of metaphysical teachings and exercises. And it has a remarkable way of cutting through all the noise with what I like to describe as bell-ringing clarity. And right now, I'm reminded of a couple of things that it says. The first thing is, what is real cannot be threatened. What is unreal does not exist. Herein lies the peace of God. Really something, if it hasn't already sort of blown your mind and shattered all illusions, maybe you want to listen to that one again. What is real cannot be threatened. What is unreal does not exist. Herein lies the peace of God. And the second thing that I want to draw from this book for our little message today is, your problem is not that you don't believe in love. Your problem is that you believe that there is something other than love. Again, these are anything other than love are constructions and illusions that are projected by the ego, the conditioned mind. Now, when we ask the question, and I encourage you to make this question your ongoing refrain, the question being, how can I be loving right now? Sometimes that word loving might feel vague or unreachable or not immediately relatable. And if that happens, no problem. Swap the word love for whatever word reflects any of the frequencies of love, such as peace, calm, joy, clear thinking, free, open, receptive, accepting, present. Anything that in your truth place feels right and good for you in that moment. For example, how can I be peaceful right now? How can I be joyous right now? How can I be calm right now? How can I be clear in my thinking right now? You know, when you ask these questions, you are literally opening the door of possibilities. When you've taken this approach for a few times, you might be ready to go to another version of this kind of thinking, of this kind of door opening, you know, where you can think, feel, and powerfully give permission to new and loving possibilities, such as, and this is a key word, I allow myself to be loving right now. I allow myself to be peaceful right now. I allow myself to be joyous right now. You know, the very first chapter in the Bible is the book of Genesis. And in that chapter, there is a refrain that is used in the creative act. And that refrain begins with a 3-letter word, L-E-T, let. Let there be light. Let there be a dome separating the waters. Let the waters under the sky be gathered together. Let the earth put forth vegetation, and so on. The whole creative process is set into motion with the energy of allowing, not the energy of wanting, which is an energy of lack, of not having, not the energy of needing, which is the energy also of lack, but also of desperation or craving, and not the energy of striving, which is the energy of forcing, and really the energy where there is a lack of faith, and instead of that faith, a belief in the illusions of the ego. Rather, this whole creative process is set into motion with the energy of allowing. Let there be, let me, and so on. And the whole creative process is set into motion and completion by the creative energy of imagining and allowing, letting what already exists as potential to materialize. I've said a fair bit there, and as I said, you might want to listen to this podcast again. But for now, let me take you on a little experience of allowing. In the next few moments, I invite you to get into a comfortable position, and one that allows you to remain alert. Okay, now take a few deep, gentle and slow breaths as you slowly close your eyes and bring all of your attention into your body. Just noticing it, simply being aware that it is there, that's all. And now is the perfect time to place an intention in your field of consciousness. And I'm going to suggest that you place this intention. May I be open and willing to be fully present to whatever arises within me. hold that intention as sincerely as you can. Feel it in your heart. Sorry, take a deep breath as you enjoy that intention. Okay. Now bring to mind a situation which you were not feeling good about. Perhaps it was a conversation or an interaction that you had with a loved one, or even with a stranger. Or it might be some difficulty that you're having with a work project. Or it might even be a health condition that is giving you a bit of concern. Don't think too hard about this. Just choose something that comes up immediately for you. And if you can, let this event or situation play out on the screen of your mind. And don't worry if you aren't able to do it right now. Just focus on the feelings and sensations that are arising within your body-mind as you think of this. And let these feelings and sensations and thoughts, let them arise fully. Yes, I know they may be uncomfortable. You might feel fearful. That's okay. It's all right. You're perfectly safe, really. Don't try to change anything or try and understand anything. Just become like a baby, watching, noticing. No agenda, just being with what is. Now I'm going to stay silent for a little while as I let you consciously experience all the feelings and sensations and thoughts associated with this particular situation. Okay. Just become aware right now that everything that you have been experiencing has been happening in the infinite, boundless field of love that you are. There is no other reality, just the reality of love, which is what you are. Now, in this field of love, give yourself permission to explore a new possibility, a loving response to this situation. And you can do this with this thought, feeling it as fully and sincerely as you can. And the thought is, how can I be loving in this situation? Or, how can I be peaceful in this situation? Or, how can I be free in this situation? Complete it with whatever frequency of love feels right for you right now. How can I be? And now, let's go one step further. With this permission, I allow myself to be, and again complete it with whatever you had thought or felt before. I allow myself to be loving in this situation. I allow myself to be peaceful in this situation. I allow myself to be free in this situation. I allow myself to be clear in my thinking. Whatever feels right for you, and it may be none of the words that I have offered, give yourself that permission. I allow. And feel the power and the freedom of giving yourself permission. Just sit in it for a few moments. Let its currents run and ripple through your entire body-mind. We're not concerned here with any actions that you must take, or words that you must say, or outcomes you must create. You're simply luxuriating in the power and the freedom, in the feeling of the creative energy of allowing. Okay, let's finish this little journey, this little experience, with a sense of gratitude. Grateful for giving ourselves permission to go through this exercise. Grateful for the ability to set into motion the manifestation of a new and loving possibility. I want to wish you much love, and may your heart beat with the rhythms of peace. Hey everybody, I know it's so easy to forget, I do it myself so often, but please, if you did like this video, do hit the like button, do subscribe, do share, and most of all, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Let it go.